Chapter 13, Part 5. Sometimes object pronouns don't just replace nouns, they can replace ideas or expressions, or they can replace adjectives, not specific noun phrases. And they're still replaced by le, even if it's not a gendered noun. So we might have a sentence like Le désir de paraître compétent empêche souvent les êtres humains de le devenir. The desire to appear competent prevents, empêcher is to prevent, souvent is often, so often prevents les êtres humains, être is being, just like the infinitive, to be, les êtres humains, so the prevent human beings from becoming it. And so what is it here? That's the idea of competent. So the desire to appear competent often prevents human beings from becoming it, which is so true. We want to just appear competent. People think highly of us, that we close ourselves off to getting new information, which would make us more competent. Now, sometimes even the verb is incorporated into the pronoun. So let's take the sentence, je peux faire le ménage. Now remember, faire le ménage means to do housework. I can do the housework. I can do the housework, I can do housework. We can replace le ménage with a direct object pronoun. Je peux le faire, I can do it. Or we can replace the whole faire le ménage with a direct object pronoun. Je le peux, I can do it. Now we don't have we can't say I can it in English, but in French it works out. But we still need to translate it. I can do it. We'd have to add that verb do that's not there. So je le peux means I can do it. Now we're going to look at what I call the horrid rule of the past participle agreement. If you can understand this rule, that's impressive. So the rule is past participles agree in gender and number with the direct object if and only if the direct object precedes the past participle. What in the world does that mean? Let's look at it as an example. J'ai vu le garçon. So here, past participle voir, vu. I saw le garçon. I saw the boy. So if we replace le garçon with a direct object, le, je l'ai vu. So now we have the direct object preceding the past participle. That means it agrees in gender and number with the direct object because the direct object precedes the past participle. So here it's masculine singular, so vu stays the way it is. I saw him. Now, if it's they have seen the boys, they saw the boys, we change it les boys, les garçons to les, put it in front of the conjugated verb. It'd be ils les ont vus, and so here the direct object precedes the past participle, so it has to agree in gender and number, and it's masculine plural, so we would add an S to it. They saw them. So this is a pretty complicated rule. I encourage you to study this sentence, look at these examples until you have a good sense of what it is, and even to the point where you can explain it to somebody else. Perhaps the next time when you see your parents and they ask you, oh, how's school going? You can say, oh, I learned something interesting. I learned that the past participles agree in gender and number in French with the direct object only if and only if the direct object precedes the past participle. And they'll be happy for you. They might not be able to rejoice fully in the depth of that your newfound understanding, but they'll be happy for you. So let's now look at indirect object pronouns with impersonal expressions like il faut and il il reste, things like that, where the il doesn't have an antecedent. It doesn't really mean anything. Il lui faut, literally it means it's necessary to him, but we would generally translate that he needs. Il lui faut un miracle pour réussir l'examen. So il lui faut, we can translate as he needs a miracle to pass the examination. Il nous reste, literally that means there remains to us, but we could translate that as we still have. Il nous reste un euro. We still have €1, or we have €1 left. So these il reste translations, expressions get translated quite differently than their literal meaning. Il nous arrive de, so il arrive de, remember we said that means it happens that. If it's il nous arrive, that means it happens to us too sometimes, or that's what it means literally. And we can translate that as sometimes we, or it happens that we, or we happen. Get that kind of indefinite, not always happening idea there. Il nous arrive de faire des erreurs. Sometimes we make mistakes, would be a way of translating it. Or it happens that we make some mistakes, something like that. Il nous importe de. Il importe de means it's important that, or important to. With nous, it's important that we, literally it's important to us to something, but we would translate it's important that we. Il nous importe de réussir l'examen. It's important that we pass the examination, or it's important to us to pass the examination, would be translations. Il lui convient de, convenir means to be appropriate. It's appropriate for him to do something. Il nous convient de travailler des heures et des heures pour l'examen. It's appropriate for us to work hours and hours for the examination. So here is a list of exercises. Translate all of them by writing and then go to the next video to correct them.